Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Today I'm reviewing Land vs. Sea from Good Games Publishing. And Land vs. Sea is going to be a 2 to 4 player abstract game, although 2, 3, and 4 players are going to be totally different. We'll talk about those. Let's start by treating this as a 2-player game as I explain how to play. And this is a game in which one player is going to be land, one player is going to be sea, thus the Land vs. Sea, and each player is winning by creating their own land masses in the game. At least that's the basic mode, and we'll teach you this one at a time. So you're going to have your 2 starting tiles for each player, and you're going to go ahead and place one down. Now, they must place in ways where the sides match, so you can't do that where you'd have water against land. We'll pretend this player's land, this player's sea, and land's going to go ahead and construct a land over there. Sea is going to start trying to construct their own. Perhaps, nope, that won't work. What if we combine them this way? That could work over there. And then either at the end of the turn, players are going to be grabbing more tiles, placing one tile out at a time. Now, over here we do have an action tile for land. Land's going to go ahead and place down an action tile, although let's go ahead and place this one down. We'll show you things more. There are different types of actions you can take in the game. 2 basic actions. The steal action, where I can go ahead and steal one of their tiles, and then the take another turn action. So we're going to go ahead and steal. We want to start closing things off, so we're going to grab this tile from C over there. Now on C's turn, they don't draw up a new tile just yet. They have this single tile over here. We need to start closing things in, so we're going to try to... that will work over here. So we're going to start trying to close things off so we can start getting points, because you want to close off your spaces, and then in return we're going to draw 2 tiles. We'll grab those over here. It's time for land's turn. Land really wants to close things off, and this would be a good tile to go ahead and do so. So we're going to go ahead and close that area off, and we're going to score points. So we've closed off a full section of land. We're going to get a point for every tile involved. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be 4 points for land, which we'll score on the inside of this box. That's pretty much the turn structure. Grab tiles, draw up to 2, rinse and repeat. Now you do have the other side of your tiles that are secret for you, unless of course you memorize every single tile in the game, that you can always see a little bit what's going on. And in fact, let's teach you the other action. There's 2 actions. Like I said already, there's going to be steal, and then there's going to be the repeat a tile placement. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm trying to get some stuff over here. I don't really want to join that up, but let's see what we have over here. That is not going to help me either. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and place this here, which is going to give me a little bit more of an area there, but we will use that to play this one, and we'll go ahead and close that off like so, although perhaps this one might be better because it's going to make it a little harder for them to close off their land. You always try to be mindful of that as you place. Now, because you only have 2 tiles, you'll never be able to place more than 2 tiles a turn, even if you have multiple symbols of that. From there, let's go to land. Let's keep playing until C manages to fill things in, because I do want to show you something else. Land's going to try to join these up so we can start focusing on closing that off. We're going to go ahead and draw at the end of the turn. And now it's C's turn. We still have 2 openings to this area over here. Let's go ahead and see. Can we get that down to 1? No, that would be a little hard. This can go over here like so. That's not bad. I like this one over here. Closes that off nicely. Okay, now land, by the way, on their turn, can try to make things more difficult for C. That's always a relevant factor of the game, is trying to make things more difficult for the other player. If you can do so, those would be too easy. This one might be, nope, that's going to be too easy as well. Those are going to just continue. This one, nope. None of these are really going to help us close off land over there. So we're just going to focus on doing our own thing. We will not try to get in each other's ways. We'll do this for right now, although in the real game, this game does get brutal quickly. Then we're going to go ahead and draw up, and let me show you the last factor of the game with this tile over here. Not the last factor of the game, the last factor of the base game. So, because we close this off over here, we're also going to get that bonus mark. Those little X's you see over here, which you can see in a variety of tiles, those are all bonus points, and they're relevant for a few reasons, but let's go ahead and score that. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 for the bonus. C is going to go to 10 points. Now, the reason those are relevant is, let's, for example, just pretend that this is the board state over here. Let's go ahead and draw another one of these. Putting this down over here, and let's pretend it's currently, ooh, this is even better. Let's pretend it's currently land's turn. You see, land has an option on the table in front of them. They can try to aggressively stop this area from closing, or in this case, they may actually even want to close it themselves, although that particular placement won't work. Maybe this one will work. Nope, let's pretend this isn't here so we can do this. So we're going to go ahead and close this off like so, and by closing that off, they're going to place the last tile, giving C 1, 2, 3, 4 points. And you might say, no, Alex, C is going to get an additional 5 points for those bonus marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoever closes off a section gets the bonus marks, regardless of whose to land versus sea it is, which means land's going to get the bonus 5 points for those marks, so good for land. They managed to get extra points by being mindful of the bonus points available on the table. Rinse and repeat, going around, placing your tiles, trying to be mindful of closing off your own areas, of trying to create multiple constructs. Smaller areas are almost always better. Let me give you just one example. You see this tile over here? This tile, because it's scoring as one large area on both sides, this tile is going to score once. Versus if you have it scoring two separate areas, two separate small areas, it would score multiple times. Additionally, there's the fact that larger areas, it's worth the other player taking their time to get in your way the larger an area grows. Whereas multiple smaller areas, just closing them off as fast as possible, keeps your enemy on their toes and they have a harder time investing in only a few points at a time. And now let's escalate the game. We're going to continue, but we're going to start with the second module of the game. In case the game started getting boring, we're going to introduce mountains and coral. Mountains and coral is going to be the first module you have in terms of mixing up the gameplay. Now all these little things you've seen over here, you have coral on sea tiles and you have mountain on land tiles. So again, we have land and sea, and let's go ahead and place something down. So land's going to go ahead and they're going to go over here like so. And because they placed mountain touching mountain, they're also going to get 2 bonus points because they have, well, 2 mountain over there. They're going to grab another tile like so over here. C's going to go ahead and place their own little coral, and they're going to put it down over here like so, like there. And that's going to give them, again, 2 bonus points because they are building out their coral. They're going to grab another tile, and then it's land's turn, and land's going to go ahead and go over here, where because they put down a third tile, they're going to get 1, 2, 3, going up 1, 2, 3. Mountain versus coral is going to be the first way that you score extra points in the game by building out these sections of mountains or coral. It gives you one more thing to be mindful of as you place. This entire time you've been playing a little game of Cutthroat, building out your routes. It's basically Carcassonne if Carcassonne were exclusively a head-to-head meaty Cutthroat game, although depending on who you are, Carcassonne is a meaty Cutthroat head-to-head game. But it's going to be a game that develops as you add in that mountain versus coral module. And then from there, when you start getting bored of that, we have caravans and ships. You may notice that we have caravans and ships over here on various tiles. We have ships, a caravan, and whenever you place one of those on the board, you're going to go ahead and, well, let's go ahead and just do it. So we're going to take this over here. We're going to place this one over here, a beautiful spot that also helps us close off. That's not legal. It's beautiful because it's not legal. Let's go ahead and try to do something legal this time. We're going to place this over here like so. So we have a nice little spot over there, but I placed a caravan next to a caravan. I'm going to get 2 points as land. And we're going to go ahead and grab another tile. Let's grab this one, which has some bonus points on it. Now it's C's turn. C is going to go ahead and place this over here. First of all, scoring 3 points, 1, 2, 3 for that terrain type over there. 1, 2, 3 because they enclosed the little area, but also scoring another 2 points because again they placed a ship next to, a ship next to caravans. So they're going to score 2 more points, 1, 2. No matter how many caravans no matter how many caravans or ships you're next to, whenever you place a caravan or ship next to a caravan or ship, you're going to score 2 points. But then you'll also get endgame points as follows. Whenever you have a grouping of caravans or ships, let's say such as this one over here, whoever has the most caravans or ships will score for the number of caravans if they have a greater amount. So in this case, because it's not tied, if it were tied, no one score points. Because it's not tied, because it's 2 versus 1, land's going to get 1, 2, 3 bonus points at the end of the game. So again, one more thing to be mindful of as you play. Now you're playing, I probably should grab that extra placement tile. Now you're trying to create your own little areas. You're trying to create mountains. You're trying to create coral. You're trying to build out these caravans and ships and be mindful of the area majority control scoring you'll have within the game, all while trying to get in the way of your opponent as you play. Now, the 3-player version of the game introduces an entirely separate faction, and you're going to flip these around, and basically, the 3rd player is going to be scoring points. For instance, Mountain and Coral is going to be scored by exclusively a 3rd player. You're going to have this aspect of a phantom player, or a mystical spirit, or however you call it. I guess if we're land and sea, we're all kind of mystical spirits when you think about it. And so now, the land versus sea player are trying to play their own game, while trying to be mindful of not building up these patches of Mountain or Coral that the 3rd player can score off of. And that 3rd player can also score off of bonus points. So again, another thing to be mindful of as you play. That 3-player experience is incredibly tight as 2 players go head to head, while making sure that there aren't enough table scraps that the 3rd player accidentally wins, and the 3rd player absolutely can win. It is a competitive experience when you play this as a 3-player experience. Now 4 players is going to be more team-based. You'll have land versus sea, pairing off back to the 2 and 4 player modes over here. So it's going to be more team-based with 2 players being land, 2 players versus sea. And that is basically land versus sea. Play until the tiles run out, being mindful of the coral, the mountains, the caravans, the ships, and then the general locking off of various areas as you try to outmaneuver and outwit your opponent in this abstract tile-laying game from Good Games Publishing. Which brings us to the what I liked, didn't like, and can see others not liking part of this review. And to begin with, It's a clever and simple system. Tile laying is not new, not by any means, but the degree to which this game directly focuses on that head-to-head cutting off, it feels like it condenses some of the best parts of a variety of tile laying games into a meaty, in your face, get in the way, place your tiles, block each other off, and take advantage game. And it's clever, it's simple, and it escalates as you play. That escalation in rules is fun. I like this game the first time I dived down into it as a 2-player head-to-head experience with no other rules. And then finding out after game 1 that these things that are on the tiles, this artwork that had no bearing on my game, more and more impacted the experience. And keep in mind, there's other things. There's monsters, there's dragons. I have no idea what they're going to be for. Are they for some possible planned expansion? Entirely possible. Even right over here, we have dragon, a sea monster. Those things right there are easily possible expansions, giving you more rules and modifications to a game that relies on the entrenched artwork of its tiles to drive simple yet meaningful decisions as you play this game. And the 3-player experience is brilliant. I thought the 3-player experience would be my least favorite part of the game, but arguably it's my favorite. It takes that 2-player head-to-head and introduces a third element, an element that both players need to be mindful of, lest they let the 3rd player win. Because the 3rd player, if those 2 players are playing it tightly, correctly, if they're exactly on their game, and they're really fighting against the 3rd player, they can deny them the points. But then they're not fighting against each other. The 3rd player introduces this fascinating, almost Prisoner's Dilemma style approach to the game. Do I want to focus on making sure you don't win, or do I need to make sure that I'm trying to win? Who's actually the goal here? What is actually meant to be scoring points? Is it me or just denial? What is the game? And the 3-player experience works incredibly well. And there's lots of ways to pursue that win. Even in the base game, it comes down to, are you trying to block others? Are you trying to build your own thing up? Or do you have clever tile placement that allows you to do both at the same time, effectively stopping others, even while, I'm just going to stop here because it's a good placement for that. There we go. Now I get to go again. I'm sorry. I just like building it up. Boom. We're almost going to score points there. But either way, you're going to have that aspect of building out, of trying to get in the way of others and or building up your own thing as you go. And then the escalation of the game allows you even more things to focus on. This is a game where you can meaningfully focus on just building out a large section of coral and trying to win that way, or mountains if you're land. Or you can focus on the area control aspect, the building out, not really the area control, the building out of the land masses, or perhaps even the caravans. There are so many different things to keep in mind to balance as you play the game, that it's an incredibly rewarding and yet simple and fast playing, easy to teach, easy to dive into, good at variable player counts experience. As far as things I didn't like in it, my biggest thing is really just going to be, at the end of the day, Land vs. Sea is going to be very much an abstract feeling game in the way you're playing the game, in the way you grab tiles, you add them to your little section over here, and then you choose which tiles to place. And despite the being at its core an abstract system, it has a decent amount of luck going on in it. Luck in terms of what's on the other side of tiles. Will they help you or not? Luck in terms of stealing from other tiles. Luck in terms of finishing your turn, grabbing a tile, and realizing that the next tile on top has an extra turn symbol. And those extra turn and steal symbols are valuable. The fact that you got more than me in a game can absolutely swing an otherwise well-balanced game. There's a decent amount of luck in the what shows up when you go through these stacks, and or what's on the other side of the tile. Luck that isn't enough to be a problem in its own right, but when you're taking it and throwing into it an otherwise very solid abstract game, it can take a little bit away from the experience of, look how well I played, and more, well, you got better tiles than me, it is what it is, or you found that perfect piece that perfectly completes something, because part of the game is going to be the fun of seeing someone go for a ridiculously large landmass. This sees things starting to escalate, and you place a tile like so, and then you grab a tile like this, and perfect, okay, great. Now in order for you to successfully build that tile out, you're going to need the perfect piece that fits there. It's going to be ridiculously hard, but maybe you can do it, and then you just grab a tile and go ahead, and let's see, does that even work? Nope, that one don't work, but maybe that one won't work. But either way, here we go. Here, nope, not that one. But you can have someone drawing the perfect piece at the right time to basically stop you from stopping them in playing this game. Luck can absolutely play a part in what was otherwise a very tense, very strategic game. As far as I can see, others not liking, to a certain extent, it can arguably be repetitive. This is a game that I am multiple plays in. I played the base game a few times. Well, I played the whole thing is the base game. I've played the base mode a few times, and then I've added the modules and expansions and dived down those multiple times. I've played it at 2 and 3 and 4 players, and it is solid in what it's doing. But yes, the more you play it, the more that the simple mechanic of draw a tile, try to find a way to stop somebody and get in their way and place it down. Let's go ahead and place this over here. And then we're going to grab, now we grab another tile because I placed that symbol. And we're going to do this over here like so. That ought to be good. Okay, perfect, great. The simple mechanics of placing down simple tiles with just land and sea in different configurations on them can absolutely be repetitive in the gameplay. It hasn't bothered me yet, and it's one that I've continuously been playing this one, but it can be a factor in terms of it's fairly simple. There's not a ton of nuance past the simple strategies you'll develop as you play, so the core gameplay can be repetitive. And then I'd say fighting for large sections of the map can be swingy in this game, especially when you have that large place in the game where I'm slowly building out a large area, and the game encourages you not to do so partially for this reason. But if I'm building out a giant large landmass in the game and you're continuously pushing me apart and stopping me from getting it, and again and again and again, the game may well, in fact will, come down to that last piece. Can you finish your giant scoring mass or not? The game can come down to these large sections of the board either being fulfilled or not being fulfilled. And while I still enjoy the gameplay, you may find yourself in a game that's 40 points apart because you did or didn't score the thing you've been working on the entire game. As far as final thoughts on Land vs. Sea, this one is delightful. This is a game that Quacklo brought back home from Gen Con. That they set it up and they're like, play this game, well, they didn't actually say you're gonna love it. They specifically kept it vague, but I dived into this one and I've really been enjoying this game. Every single time I've played, every single escalation, the variety of player counts, although I will say 4-player I do find to be the weakest game, still enjoyable, but the team play is not nearly as fun as either the direct head-to-head and or that 3-player count that introduces a third consideration that you have to be mindful of as you play. But overall, this one is a game that consistently knocks out in half an hour or under. It's a game that is rewarding, it's punchy, it is easy to pull out, it is easy to play, it gives you a variety of things to consider, both at 2, 3, and 4 players. It's a game that I've really been enjoying from Good Games Publishing. This is going to be a 4 to 5 for me. You can check my rating scale down below, but a 4 is a solid game. The only thing really stopping it from that 5 is that this is at its core an abstract strategy game that is hugely luck dependent in terms of the swing of what happens or doesn't happen in the game state. Overall, this is Land vs. Sea, one that I'm paying attention to, and one that I am incredibly curious whether or not those dragons and artwork and birds are all parts of some unknown planned expansion or not. I kind of hope they are. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.